I would like to invite Sophia Mavridi, who is a teacher trainer, and oral examiner.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Last but hopefully not least, thank you very much for being here, for staying until the end. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Sophia Mavridi. I'm a teacher trainer and an English teacher. I've worked as an English teacher at primary and secondary school level in Athens, Greece. I've also worked in the UK, in various places, London, Cambridge, this year for the Leicester. Last year I completed my master's degree in educational technology and TESOL with the University of Manchester. And what I'll be talking about today is part of my research thesis that I might or might not take further to a PhD. We'll see. I'm also the treasurer of the Eğitim for Learning Technology SEEK, and next month I'm taking over as coordinator after Nikki Hockley steps down. So I want to kick off this presentation by saying that digital technologies, as Shelley mentioned, have revolutionized teaching and learning. Huge learning opportunities and huge teaching opportunities. Participatory cultures. Digital technologies encourage participatory cultures where people are not passive consumers of content, but they also create, curate, and share. This is a very active process. And also, open access to information allows better intellectual exchanges and greater knowledge, of course. So huge learning and teaching opportunities. However, along with opportunities, there are risks. Cyberbullying, digital plagiarism, oversharing, to mention only a few. Sonia Livingston, researcher and academic from the UK, has referred to risky opportunities, suggesting that the more opportunities people are exposed to online, the more risks are likely to encounter. And why is that? There are certain characteristics of digital technologies that can change conventional understandings of privacy and participation, and can indeed create new opportunities and risks. Persistence. The content created or shared is not ephemeral, but persists indefinitely. This is a good thing. This is not a bad thing, because it allows asynchronous communications to take place. But it can also create risks. Visibility. It can be accessed by a wider audience and be seen both by intended but also invisible viewers. Spreadability. This content is so easy to download, replicate, and share, because digital media actually encourage people to share, to spread content via built-in buttons, share on Facebook, share on Twitter. How many tweets have you sent today? One? Okay, exactly. So spreadability. And finally, searchability. Search engines and databases allow people to find information at the click of a button. So you can be searched and found. All these affordances are amazing. They can contribute to learning, but they can also be used for negative purposes, such as to create a digital footprint that might be impossible to remove, or to spread rumors. And that's why technology integration should not be a tool-oriented approach. This is why we need to challenge the existing paradigms in technology education that merely invest in technology equipment, but take its responsible use for granted. As Professor Hobbs said, and I couldn't agree more, just using technology does not automatically encourage students to acquire the ethics, the skills, the knowledge, and competences needed for effective use. And this is true. My students, your students, are particularly confident users of technology, aren't they? Are they? But this then does not mean that they can use it responsibly and effectively. So how do we respond? What some current responses to the issue? I don't want to generalize here, and of course there are exemptions, but according to research, these are the most frequent responses to the issue. Tool-oriented approaches. Institutions invest in technology equipment, but they don't equally invest in students and teachers' training. But when the first signs of misuse are observed, there is panic, followed by easy solutions such as firewalls and blocking and filtering. Don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting that we should not be blocking and filtering inappropriate content, such as pornography or hate sites. But in our effort to create a safe environment, we may be creating a sterile environment by blocking social media, for example. Social media are great tools, and by blocking them, we deprive teachers of the opportunity to teach responsibility in context. And what's more, scare tactics. That the internet is such a dangerous place. It's full of dangerous people. There are dangerous people around the corner. It's full of predators. Yes, it can be dangerous. Real life can be dangerous. Just by mentioning it, the only thing we can achieve is scare people out. And we don't want to scare people out. We want them. We want students to use technology. We want them to connect. We want them to learn. But we also want them to be safe and resilient. And there's more. Tracking apps. According to BBC News, a mobile app is to be launched later this year in the UK, which will give parents remote access to everything their children get up to on their phones. So they will be able to track movements, monitor text messages, see what websites the kids are visiting. Tracking apps are nothing new. My question is Big Brother the answer to young people's safety? What do you think? What do you think?
The younger he is, the more dangerous.
Yes?
No matter what we do, they will always find ways to bypass
Absolutely.
security
Absolutely.
measures.
Yeah. So they always find ways around it. So if we, from the digital citizenship perspective, using such an app as the sole solution is like technology, our inability to educate a responsible culture. Dr. Byron, a specialist in irresponsibility, powerfully depicts this with this analogy. At the public swimming pool, we have gates, put up signs, have lifeguards and shallow ends, but we also teach children how to swim. And this is what we want to do. We want to empower students. We want to empower them to use the tools and to be resilient and responsible and effective users of technology. And this is why digital citizenship is a burning issue. It is not some kind of training against risks, against digital plagiarism, against cyberbullying, against oversharing. It is a holistic approach that involves literacies, skills, competencies, and ethical thinking for effective participation in a digital world. It involves informed decisions about the content we create or share and its impact both on ourselves but also on the other people of an increasingly global and interconnected world. So what is it? According to the International Society for Technology and Education, a digital citizen understands human, cultural, and societal issues related to technology and advocates and practices safe, responsible, and ethical use of digital information and technology. So we are advocates of technology, but we believe in its principled use. Now, what is not digital citizenship? Because not everything that we see or read about responsibility belongs to this approach. E-safety. E-safety is just a small part of it. It is important, but it's just a small part of it. So digital citizenship is not about scare tactics. We're talking about skills building here. We don't want to scare people out. It is not a reactive approach. We try to be proactive and equip students, young people with skills and competencies. It is not a list of do's and don'ts. Again, skills building is not achieved with do's, do that, don't do this. They are not going to listen. It is not banning and blocking social media. We want social media. Social media are great tools. It is not raising awareness without developing skills. Just raising awareness is not going to take you anywhere. Ethical thinking, for example, does not occur when adults raise young people's awareness of ethic, of moral values, but when young people deal with problems, reflect on them, and make informed decisions. So just raising awareness is not going to achieve what you want to achieve. And of course, it's not talking about risks, but not about opportunities. This is a negative approach. We need to talk about both. Because as we said, technology is about both risks and opportunities. Now, over to you, with a person next to you, in groups or pairs, could you please take 2 minutes and talk about the skills and competencies that we need to foster, that young people need to have in order to be effective users of technology. Then I'm going to share with you 8 areas that we need to work on. Okay, so take 2 minutes. What skills and competencies do we need to foster? Yes?
What age we are talking about?
Any age you want, about your students. Your students. It can be young learners. Of course, it's different. Your question is very, very important. So talk about your students. It can be young learners, it can be teenagers, it can be young adults. What skills and competencies do we need to foster? Okay. Okay, so, yes?
I'm sorry, I thought you
Sure.
wanted to say that the skills that we need to develop.
You don't need to share now, but I'm going to ask you in the end, after I share, if I missed anything or if you missed anything, all right? So just tick the ones that I mentioned. So first of all, participation. That's the first skill we need to develop. Because digital citizenship, because technology is all about participation. So how can we do that? First of all, you need to create online communities. How are they going to participate if they don't have communities? So class blogs, Facebook groups, Edmodo groups if you teach young learners. And how do students work for a broader audience? They need to have an audience. then ask them to reflect on the personal and social responsibilities that these new roles entail. So, number one, participation. Managing privacy and identity. This is so important, both huge areas. I'm currently working on digital identity. Next week I'm presenting at TESOL Greece. In 3 weeks I'm presenting at Eğitim for Manchester. So, huge area, and you're going to hear a lot about that in the future. The rapid way information is shared and replicated can pose certain dangers to people who fail to understand that disclosure about themselves and others should be handled with care. My question is, are young people creating a culture of disclosure? What do you think? I have 10 more minutes. Really? Are you serious? Uh-huh. Okay. 10 minutes. All right. So are young people creating a culture of disclosure? What do you think? Yes. Norms are changing, but what they need is skills and competencies to carefully manage what they disclose, not recommendations to hide it. So teach them to represent themselves in light of the properties of persistence, searchability, visibility, and spreadability. Safety cannot be ignored. They need to be critical thinkers. They need to apply critical thinking skills. But we need to revisit the role of strangers. E-safety has used the term stranger danger, suggesting that communication with strangers can be potentially dangerous. However, research suggests that incidents of actual harm have been rare. What actually can be dangerous is equality. Talking about sex with strangers, for example, can be dangerous. So it is the quality of communication that seems to correlate with harm. So instead of rejecting communication with strangers, it is better to teach your students to evaluate the quality of communication. Okay, thank you. Okay, after all, participatory cultures and communities, the PLFs, wouldn't exist without some degree of interaction and communication with strangers. And of course we need to consider everything we do online as public, because it is. Even an email or a private message, it's so easy to take a screenshot and send it to someone else. And this is the basic social media policy for teachers as well. Whatever you do online, you should be able to tell your students in the classroom. Digital and media literacies, they comprise a lot of competencies, but what we are interested in here is the skill to evaluate the credibility of online information. So your students, we need again critical thinking. They need to apply fact-checking to check facts, and they also need to compare at least 3 sources before they use a piece of information. So teach them to apply the rule of 3. Who's the author? What's the purpose of this message? What is the author trying to make me believe? What opinions or ideas are missing? Not everything that we see or read online is trustworthy, so they need to develop their critical thinking skills. Ownership and authorship, digital plagiarism and copyright. In the era of open access, it is so easy to find information, copy, paste it, and pass it off as your own. Is this fair use? Is it ethical? No. Okay. Are digital technologies creating an infringing culture? What do you think? Yes? Yes. What do you think? In my opinion, it is not the technologies that create an infringing culture. It is the way we use them. If you tell your students, go online and find information, but we haven't taught them how to do it, then yes, we might be creating an infringing culture. Students need to know about fair use skills, they need to develop these skills, but they also need to paraphrase, and they need to be able to cite their sources. They need to attribute the information they find to the writer. So introduce them to Creative Commons licenses, they're fantastic. Encourage them to license their own work, because in this way they might perceive themselves as authors and they might understand why plagiarism can be potentially harmful from the author's perspective. And of course, last but not least, and this is not for higher education students, it should start from the very beginning, from the primary school. Teach students to synthesize information into their own original argument. Otherwise, they would just copy and paste it. Does this ring any bells? Can you see your students or yourself there? Can you? Okay, I personally can. Some tips. It is not easy to manage digital distractions. Let's admit that. But don't ban the use of mobile devices. They're great tools. I use them all the time. I encourage my students to use them all the time. But manage it. We need to manage it. Otherwise, your classroom will be bombarded with notifications. And of course, the students are going to be distracted. Switch to plane mode when you don't use the internet. Involve students in the creation of rules because they're more likely to respect them. Tell them that they should not check their emails or Facebook in class. Have a technology-free day. We should not depend on technology, and we need to pass this on our students. So have a technology-free day. We always need a plan B. And of course, provide a good model. Don't check your Facebook or emails in class because isn't it important? And switch to silent mode when you teach, because if your phone beeps, then why your students shouldn't, right? So the last one is very important. And of course, students need to know about healthy computing. They need to have the right posture. People spend more and more time in front of the computer. And of course, they need to take regular breaks. Etiquette and interaction. Technology is all about interaction, but we need digital codes. We need to cross cultural diversities. We need to accept, appreciate, or tolerate other people's opinions, no matter how different they are from ours. Students need to stand up against bullying or trolling. There's a lot of trolling online. They need to know how to deal with it. And of course, this is for language teachers. Help your students to develop the language skills to negotiate, debate, and disagree politely. Tell them that there's nothing wrong with disagreeing as long as it is polite. Last but not least, digital security cannot be ignored. Students should be able to detect malware. What is malware? Any ideas? Malware. Sorry? Yes, what is malware? Yes, that's right. So, exactly. It's malicious software that cyber criminals use to steal information or money off of your account. This can be phishing, viruses, scams. Just clicking on a suspicious link may compromise your account, flood the internet with unintended messages, and even lead to identity theft. So students should know how to detect malware, and of course they should know how to deal with it if something bad happens. And they should know how to set strong passwords, not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of passwords. Okay, so, have you missed anything? Have I missed anything? Yes?
I just thought that students very often see their laptops, their tablets as a toy.
Good.
An expensive toy instead of seeing them as a tool for learning.
Exactly.
And that's what we need to work on.
Thank you. Thank you very much for adding this. Now, what is the role of the teacher? Do you think that every teacher should be involved in teaching those skills? Or it is the IC teacher who should be involved? What do you think?
Everyone.
Everyone? Anyone who believes it is the ICT teacher who should be involved? Only? What do you think? Everyone. Yes. According to Jennings, media literacy and responsible use of technology should not be seen as a separate subject added to the curriculum, but as a paradigm shift that will reshape how all existing subjects are taught. And this correlates with the findings of my research. The teachers, I interviewed 4 digital citizenship experts and 4 English teachers. So the teachers said that every discipline teacher should be involved, first because it is a core component of students' education, then because there's so many areas, so many skills that it is impossible for the ICT teacher to cover them all. And the next one is very interesting. They say that the way ICT is taught in their context does not include digital citizenship skills, but rather focuses on how tools work, just this. And last but not least, teachers can be great mentors because they spend a considerable amount of time with students. But of course we need further research to see how to explore the relevance of these skills to different subjects. Now, limitations and constraints. Let's say that you want to integrate these skills into your curriculum, or in case you are trying to integrate them, what are the limitations and constraints, or what would be the limitations and constraints? Take 1 minute only, because I don't have too much time. They're strict with me. So 1 minute. What are the limitations and constraints? What would be the limitations and constraints? Then I will tell you what I've found. Yes? Time. Yes? Access to the internet.
Finding the expertise.
Sorry?
Finding the experts. I mean, regarding the modules. Citizenship modules, like say, who's going to teach and who is going to integrate with.
Very good point. Exactly. The teachers I interviewed, all based in Europe, Turkey, Greece, Switzerland, and Spain, said that the most serious limitation is lack of training. And that teachers may need to find their own way. They said that there is no support from the institution, but even if they wanted to pay out of their own pockets and have training, they say that these courses don't exist, or at least they don't know of any course that teaches responsibility. And these are extracts. On the other hand, digital citizenship experts said that there is lack of a shared understanding about what digital citizenship is. This extra says, I think with teachers, but also with leaders and principals, part of their problem is that they might not have a shared understanding of what it is to teach students to use the internet responsibly, and what it means for teaching and learning. So leaders and managers might need training as well. And as you mentioned, time, a very important limitation. We need to cover our syllabus. We may not have time for extra skills. Parents might express their concerns, and limited access to technology, as you said. Now, briefly, I'm going to do that briefly. Okay, So this is not a digital citizenship course, it's just a session. So I'm going to give you some 6 action steps on how this can be integrated. First of all, this should be a systematic approach. This is not a once and for all approach. Don't expect to cover these skills at the beginning of the year and your students to master them. No, it needs to be a systematic approach. So step number 1, integrate it into your year-round curriculum, whatever you teach. This can be separate lessons on digital plagiarism, digital literacies, or 10-minute chunks before using tech. Both can be beneficial, but of course, you should focus on subject-specific skills, not just digital citizenship. This is not realistic. If you're English teachers, for example, your primary aim should always be English, reading, listening, whatever. Your secondary aim, digital citizenship. If you teach mathematics, the same. Step number 2, teaching context. Create digital communities, create digital blogs, or groups like Moodle, if you teach young students, or Facebook. Because we can't teach digital responsibility if students have no digital communities to reflect on. These are not theories, these are skills. Involve parents. This is so important. But don't just lecture them, involve them through a hands-on approach to help them understand how to supervise and how to educate their kids. This is very, very important. You need to develop teacher skills and competencies as well. And if you are a manager, you need to help your teachers to develop them. What do you need to develop? You need to have digital and media literacies as well. How to create, how to participate, and how to think critically. Of course, you need ethical and transparent online content. You like it or not, you are role models. And of course, you need active digital presence. A digital citizenship expert said, we can't teach these skills to our kids if we don't have experience in them. How can we teach digital footprint if we don't exist online? And I couldn't agree more. Materials. These are some great sites you can find. Materials, lesson plans, videos that you can use with your students. If you want the handout with the URL, you can find it in my blog and download it. Last but not least, stay informed. A great way to stay informed is Twitter, so you can follow these hashtags. You can also find them on my blog, the handout that I have on my blog. And you can follow me because I regularly post about digital citizenship. And this was supposed to be Q&A, but apparently I don't have time for that. So if you have any question or if you want to add anything, you can always contact me. Thank you very much.